yeah, I didn't understand because I thought, person that can order me around is a Marine higher ranked than me. So he's like, whoa, and that really somehow my remark really set him off, and I said, while I was in Beirut, I think I had my first time where I ran into politicians, and it was the first time that I saw where politicians can outrule or overrule what makes military sense to keep people safe.
How'd you come across that?
So I told you that the road was up high, so I built these sandbagged positions.
Mm-hmm.
And you put one at each end, and then you put machine guns in each position. That gives you ability to put enfiladating fire to repel attacks. Well, in order to build up and make those safer, I got these big wooden shipping containers that stuff from the ship came in, and we built, a small cubicle in the sandbags with that. Then that enabled me to stack sandbags on the outside, and then we lifted the lid up higher with 2x4s, and I was able to put a roof on it and then put a couple layers of sandbags on that roof. So why do you do that? You do that because that prevents them being vulnerable to overhead fire, somebody throwing in a grenade, shooting an RPG in. So it's a critical thing to help keep those Marines safe. And I remember, I'm there in charge, and one day a limo drives up and stops, and some guy in a suit gets out, and he walks over and he's talking to, the Marines, and then I see him point to me down there, and I'm in my UDT shorts and probably no shirt, and they motioned me to come up there, so I walk up there, and this guy strutting back and forth, and he's saying, "Is that wood? Is that wood inside this?" And I said, "Yeah, that's wood."
The suit guy said this.
Yeah, the suit guy said that, and I go, "Yeah, it's wood." He goes, "That makes it look like you're planning on being here forever." And I go, "No, that makes it look like that's what keeps people from getting shot." And he goes, "No, I don't like that, the wood thing. You need to take that down." And I looked at him, I go, "Who are you?" He goes, "I'm the U.S. ambassador."
Oh, no.
And I go, "Yeah, well, you're not wearing a uniform." And I mean, come on, I was 20,
Yeah.
25.
I'm just picturing you in shorts, shirtless, and probably dipping the whole day behind this
I didn't dip
bunker.
back then. I didn't dip. Matter of fact, I never really dipped. I actually chewed cot before I
No shit.
dipped.
Old school.
Yeah. If it went in Yemen, right? So,
That's it. I'm going to use that.
but I didn't understand because I thought, person that can order me around is a Marine higher ranked than me. So he's like, whoa, and that really somehow my remark really set him off, and I said, "I'll take that down as soon as I am ordered to by someone in my military chain of command."
Whoa.
So he jumped in his car and left. Oddly enough, about 20 minutes later, a call comes on the radio, and it's an unhappy colonel.
Harrington.
And so I got ordered to take that down. And, the thing that stuck in my head was, so here now we're saying that the Marines in this position have to be vulnerable because we think it makes it look too permanent. And that was
Isn't that funny how they do that? They care about how things look from some office with a suit, and the guys out there who know their shit like you, apparently they know better than you.
And I understand, now I've served in a lot of countries, and I understand that we have bigger objectives. And my purview and scope is military operations and my mission. So I understand that. But I've been involved or seen a lot of tragedies like Benghazi, Beirut, some other attacks that, like the USS Cole, some others where it's like those kind of actions and that kind of mindset is what leads to those. And I understand that sometimes political needs out. I mean, we're military. You'll risk your life to do the mission, but those decisions should be made fully weighing the cost that it might cost in lives. And to me, that there reaches a point where you say if the probability is that much increased that somebody could die, then the answer is that has to take priority over that political messaging thing.
I feel like if we're going to play that game of how things look, it also matters how the thing you think it looks, how it looks. What I mean is, if someone like you is walking down the street of Beirut, I don't know, what's something crazy, using a fucking flamethrower because you're like, well, this is going to keep people off me. Yes, I would probably be with the ambassador if they said, let's not do that, because that's what's called propaganda right there. But if you're doing something very subtle and simple, I would think, like using wood to create a shield so that motherfuckers don't get shot.
Yeah.
That's what you're taught to do. The government sets up programs so that the military can teach you guys how to create a fortified position, what safety precautions must be taken so that you don't lose extra lives, right? Beyond the lives that are already going to get lost just because of statistics. It's like when I hear stuff like that, that's where how it looks is so granularly overthought. And it seems like, you and I were talking off camera a couple weeks ago. It seems like you ran into stuff like that quite a bit, unfortunately, throughout your career.
You do. I think it's just a reality, particularly since we haven't been in a war like Korea, World War II, maybe to some extent Vietnam in a long time, that we have the luxury of these. It's not an out-and-out combat zone. It's low-intensity conflict in a lot of places, so it's mixed. There's civilians in the mix. There's State Department, military, agency, aid organizations, all that kind of everybody's thrown in there. So the lanes in the road get kind of confused.
And actually, to the defense of some of the people who will sometimes be stuck in the suit saying these things that I'm also kind of ripping right now, they are dealing with these now too. Everyone's got one of the, I'm holding up a phone for people listening, not watching. And you can make a video look way worse than it is or way better than it is, depending on what that is. So obviously you weren't dealing with that when we're talking about 1982 Beirut. But today, I will admit, I still think something like that would be stupid. But what happened with you would be stupid, but there are other things where it's like, damn, this could get spun the wrong way, and it creates a tough decision because maybe you're gonna lose lives if you don't do a basic thing, whatever that thing is, but you're gonna lose hearts and minds if you do that thing.
Well, then if I go back to the end of my career or later in my career, that I've been the guy in the suit on the other end of that. And every once in a while, I have to make a call. And I have other guys now that are in the same boat that I was in all those years before. And now I have to make a decision because I'm responsible for their lives too.
But you've been there and you get it. There's got to be some level, because I'm sure you could speak their language and work with them on stuff, whereas some other people who have never done the thing, they can't do that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's different. When I became in the CIA and was a case officer going out, you have in war zones, you have the bodyguards that are mostly SEAL and SF and Ranger guys, a lot of them who I worked with before in my career, and now they're the bodyguards. And the staff officer supposedly runs the thing, and they run the meeting and they're kind of in charge. But really, the guys taking you out, they're responsible to keep you safe. They're the ones that are going to take action to eliminate a threat, avoid a threat, escape the threat, get off the X if something happens. But it's funny because I knew a lot, and we we had a really good relationship, which is funny because you get the wannabe case officer that is the new guy wearing his Orvis clothes, and he shows up in a war zone, and he's got all this, now he's got a gun, and or she has a gun, and they get to put on magazines and stuff, and they think they're gonna go out and save the world. And I remember once a guy in Afghanistan, he knew my background, and he said, "Well, I got 12 magazines for my rifle, and in case something happens." And he goes, "How many you carry, Gary?" I go, "I don't know, 4 or 5. Well, that's, the people in combat, that's not a combat load. I go, "I know. I'm CIA. We're CIA. Our job is not to fight. But what happens if you're in a plane and it goes down and you have to hold off hordes?" I go, I'll figure it out then. And every once in a while you get mortared or rockets, come to the base. So they sound the alarm, and you go to a bunker. And I remember the first time. This is the early days, like in 2005, 5 or 6, and in Afghanistan. And guys, I remember a guy, we're in the office and the alarm goes, "I gotta grab my gun and get to the place." I said, "I'm just going to the bunker." And he goes, "Aren't you gonna go to your hooch and get your rifle?" I go, "No." I go, "Trust me, the last thing these professionals up here want is you behind their back with your 1 week of training,
with a desk pop,
with a loaded weapon, itching to pull that trigger." Excuse me, itching to pull that trigger, and that's how I treated it, And the guys, we go out. It's funny. I once had a vehicle get stuck in the mud in Kabul. But the guys, I had a good enough working relationship that the guys driving the vehicle, they go, "Hey, Gary, we're going to have to go find something to dig this out. Can you pull security?" So I took over their job and pulled security while they went and got somebody and started digging the vehicle out. And one of my goals, they would let me in their hooch where the security guys had their little ops center inside the big place where the agency guys stayed. And I may be the only, or at least in my time, regular person that they let in there.
But you hadn't been. That's why.
Right? Yeah,
right?
because I didn't ask to be. I didn't,
Yeah.
it was like, but it's mutual.
You'd done what they did effectively.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of them knew me, and my past stuff, like as a military guy, I did some stuff with the agency in Iraq and some other places. So they, people knew me,
Mm-hmm.
and my big deal was to try to stay off their board of the Big Ten, because they had a whiteboard in there, and it was a rotating thing, and it would be the 10 most stupid things that a case officer has done.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.